So, all right. Yeah, we're getting some people coming in. Oh, man, that's stressful.
Is anybody on yet?
We got 3 people.
1, 2, 3. Hey guys, sorry about that. Hey, how do you like our swag? We got some new swag here. Where's yours?
I left it upstairs.
Go get it.
All right.
Go get it. I'll cover for you. Hello, real estate. How you doing out there tonight? We're going to take a couple of minutes to get everybody on board here. We got the black backdrop set up. Yeah, that's correct. We thought it'd be better than looking at my closet door. Okay. Yeah, we got swag. We got shirts for sale in the store. We both look on. That's nice. I love it. Yep, we got our black backdrop here. So we'll Mav will be right back down here and we will get started with you guys here. Sorry, we are so backwards here. Last night was just crazy because it's like we're half an hour before the show and all of a sudden we had upload speeds that were less than dial-up. We had less than dial-up speeds all of a sudden. After 2 years of living here, having terrific internet, 600 megs down, 100 meg up, nothing, nada. So we could not stream last night. Gonna meet the dog today. Oh, we have a dog request.
All right.
We have a dog request. I wonder if she can make it down here. So we had all kinds of plans. We're going to do split screen tonight. We were going to do screen sharing. And of course, none of that works right now. So we're back just couple of guys staring at the camera. We got a little better background for today, but so we'll talk about the market here for a minute and get right into your questions. So we're not gonna keep you guys too long tonight. No beer crypto yet. We will get to beer crypto soon enough.
Yeah, blame YouTube. It wasn't letting us.
Yeah, it just threw us out of sync today. Just threw us out of sync. I mean, it's like. And then I couldn't get the mouse to work because this thing was sitting on top of the pad. Yeah. Lovely. I'm going to have to remember that one. Okay. So we, my thoughts on the market right now, where things sit is that, a lot of guys will, and pardon me for looking over here at the other screen, but a lot of folks will see something like what was like on ontology and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So we see ontology, ONT, and you see a couple of nice green candles there. Oh, we have flipped over to the next trading day, by the way, as well too. If you guys were to look at ontology/BTC right now, that's a good example of a chart which is not reversed. That is not reversed. That is so far just another lower high setting up in the midst of a downtrend. And this is what we're going to see all the way down until we finally bottom out, is that you're going to see whatever market that you want to look at is going to see constantly like this. We're going to have these periods of hope where all of a sudden it's like, hey, look at that. It's going up. It's up 10% in a day. And then we're going to just see that dash. Before this turns around, we will start to see things make higher highs and higher lows. And when that occurs, then we will start to see a reversal. So good start, but that's a great example of just another lower high setting up so far. So I'm still looking, the markets will make a definite signature when they reverse. When they finally go through capitulation, it will be like unlike anything you have ever seen before. I mean, if it's anything at all like every other bear market I've been part of. Okay, well, somebody's drinking out there. Very good. That's the spirit, Sean. Perhaps if we have any more technical issues, we'll probably be doing the same thing here too before long. So
Yeah.
So yeah, we've already talked to you guys about the swag. So anything that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah. So part of what Ontology is going through right now, and maybe that's related to Neo as well, is they had some sort of like interesting questions or concerns about potential accidental fork or something like that. So I've been looking into that a little bit today. It just seems to be a lot of confusion right now, and possibly Ontology is trying to act independently of Neo, given that Ontology is based off of the Neo platform. Yeah, we'll continue watching that one. They're also going through their token swap right now, so that might be playing a little bit into the price action. But yeah, that's been going on for a little while now, so I'm not sure if that's solely what we're seeing today or not. But yeah, some interesting market movements today. Let's see, some other ones that have been moving pretty good have been VeChain, which was kind of interesting, given that I tried to look into it and see what was driving. I think it was a 30% bounce today, and honestly, I think it was from a Forbes article, or no, sorry, a Nasdaq article talking about their China vaccine solution, which is really interesting because that was announced August 4th, 2 weeks ago, and this was simply a summation of what that Medium article had been talking about, and it wasn't posted by Nasdaq itself. It's just a guest contributor kind of article. I mean, it's good that they're on Nasdaq, that they're getting more eyes that way, but it's not Nasdaq saying, "Oh, VeChain is doing this vaccine program thing." So, in a lot of ways, I think today's price action for VeChain was a little bit of a pump and dump. But you know, I'm sure more eyes doesn't hurt for VeChain in the greater crypto space. What else has been doing really well today? You have to pull up live coin watch or something.
Let's see. What do you like to look at? I usually go to the screener, but
one thing that hasn't been doing very well, or is just kind of going sideways right now, is Bitcoin, of course. Even though it's at 30 or 53% of market dominance, it really doesn't seem to know what to do with that. And this is kind of what we've seen before, where Bitcoin the market will consolidate around Bitcoin as sort of the dominant market force, but that sort of predicates a move back into altcoins, as we've seen multiple times over the past year. So we'll see the market when it gets really into that FUD phase, where it doesn't know what to do. It moves into the biggest cryptocurrency out there, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where Bitcoin dominates the market follows Bitcoin. So we're basically in a Bitcoin market right now. But now that the market is still kind of deciding what to do with that, still not sure what to do with it, and now that we have sort of uncertainty around Bitcoin products, the ETF, that sort of stuff, we're not sure what's going to happen with that, especially over the next couple of weeks. As a reminder, a week from today, the Bitcoin ETF Pro Shares decision will be put forth by the SEC. That's the final date for that decision. So it could be any day between now and then, but at the very latest, it will be next Thursday when the SEC decides the Pro Shares ETF decision. And that's a futures-backed ETF. It's not a commodity-backed ETF like we see with the VanEck SolidX ETF. So that's a very different animal. But this one will be a weather vane for what's going to happen for that SolidX VanEck ETF that everybody's talking about. So this one is not as big. If it gets denied, I don't anticipate that big of a market move around it. It'll sort of be like the Winklevoss ETF decision being denied, but it will kind of predicate what the SEC is sort of feeling at this point. Do they believe a futures-backed ETF has credence or not? They'll certainly disclose their feelings on that. So that will be really interesting to see how they're feeling about that. But yeah, it's sort of a wishy-washy market right now. There's not a lot going on that's substantial, unfortunately. But as I've kind of been alluding to in the recent newsletters, we are starting to see some interesting market forces coalescing right now. With Pantera Capital raising 75 million with a target of a 175 for Backed, the platform that the NYSE ICE is putting to market here. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. How when they sort of promote more retail type of exclusivity or whatever, inclusivity rather, and opening up Bitcoin to people's retirement accounts and things like that. It's going to be really interesting to see how that affects the market. So yeah, it's sort of these are the dog days of summer, but we've got maybe an interesting fall and winter ahead of us. So yeah, I would say continue watching things because
it's always interesting.
Yeah.
This is never a dull space. Is there any way that we can post the new link over? So these guys have been trying to help us out.
Yeah. Well,
can we go over to the old link or old page and let them know where to go?
I think we did that. Yeah.
Thought we did that.
Yeah, I'll do that. You continue talking.
Okay, what else you guys got? Let's see. You put your IRA retirement account in crypto on terrible timer. It was in January. Ouch. Yeah, I will continue saying a couple of principles that I believe will be your Rock of Gibraltar going forward, which is never, and stop me if you guys have already heard this, but never enter a position that you don't first define the exit for. So in other words, before you enter anything, determine where you will exit. Now, if you're an investor, if you're a long-term investor, you may not have an exit for it. You may just say, well, look, I'm in this for the long haul. But what a lot of people do is that they start off by saying, yeah, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm a hodler. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you lose 80% of that value. And all of a sudden you and 99% of the other retail investors out there that did the same thing will sell thinking that will, well, I want to save that last 20%. And that will be the bottom. And you will regret that decision for the rest of your life. Well, actually, what you will regret is not having any form of exit at the very beginning. That is what will save you. The second thing that I want to bring up, the second guiding principle that I want you guys to apply is don't bet the farm on one position. Never, ever do that. So break it up into smaller chunks. This is why we're doing it the way we're doing it in portfolio version 2. Oops, I can't do that in the wrong countries. Over here, it doesn't mean anything, right? So it means, whatever. So but 2% is a 2% position is not going to hurt you either way. It's going to be an annoyance. So those two things, I think, I will get on the podium every single time and go after that soapbox, because that's what we have to do, is to not only define, because it takes the stress out of everything as well too. You're not over trading your account. You know what you're doing. You know when you're going to get out. If you have to get out, you get out. That's fine. But you're going to save your capital, which is the most precious thing that you have. All right, let's see. Ethereum Classic is in the Coinbase app. Yeah, that's been
yeah, we knew that was going to happen, but they just made the announcement about 24 hours ago. So obviously ETC is going up, but it'll probably come right back down.
Yeah, Sean's got a good term there. Oof. Oof is a technical term for ouch, as in took that one in the shorts. They're breaking your stones on not posting videos again.
Yeah, well,
we try to make a compromise for that. Yeah. So
I'm trying to get them out as much as I can, but the emphasis recently has been getting out the newsletters earlier. I don't know if you remember, but we used to put out the newsletters much later than this, and typically that was because I was taking the time to go through the video, scrub it out, making sure it was good. But what people kept telling us is that they wanted it out sooner. They wanted it out sort of,
especially the folks in Europe were just like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like it's useless to me. So we made a conscious decision to try to get it out around 7 o'clock Eastern time, which is 2300 UTC, which is barely useful for the Europeans, but it's about the best we can do to kind of summarize the day, what's going on. So
yeah,
If he has the time, he'll do a video.
Any day I'm not traveling or doing a live stream like this, I'll try to put out a video. But yeah, it's just been crazy recently.
Yo, long range crypto is on board. All right.
Hey, man. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. With regard to that IRA Bitcoin, I mean, to be honest, an IRA is going to be something that you're going to put away for a long time anyways. So your investment horizon should be, years out anyways. So unfortunately, it's kind of, I know it's tough right now, but just try to, keep it in back burner and just, make sure that your investment vehicles, especially your retirement accounts, are well diversified. But yeah, other than that, I would just, continue to just not watch it really. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Alden, if you have any questions about that, let me know and I'll point you in the right direction. Yeah. I mean, it can be a really simple conversation, but you'd be amazed how much those 2 points will save your bacon down the road. Yeah. And, we all get excited when things are heading higher, and we're optimistic. We don't think that we're going to lose money. And all of a sudden, when things turn out differently. So one of the things that I put on a podcast a couple of days ago was the different biases that we have. And one of them is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means that I think one particular thing, and so therefore what I'm going to do is I'm only going to look for specific pieces of information that align myself with what's going on. Right now, I'd say in the political sphere across the board, this is one of the problems that are out there, is that people think a certain way, and what you're going to do is you're going to watch a news channel which aligns with that specific ideology. And so for there, you get your confirmation bias and tons of it. The same thing happens to us with trading, though, is you get confirmation bias, and all of a sudden you become totally blind to any other form of which way the price could go. And that, quite honestly, has been the toughest thing that's taken the longest for me to overcome, is to be completely neutral, is to look at a market and say, okay, it's trying to tell me something. What is that? Instead of forming your own opinions.
There's a question about wallets for non-ERC20 tokens, or non-Ethereum tokens. And so generally the advice I give for something like that is literally just Google best Tron wallet or something like that, or best VeChain wallet. And what you'll often find is big assets like those are already on something like a ledger, which means that's probably the best wallet for them. But you'll get some diverse answers for generally the larger coins like that. Now, if it's a smaller coin and if it's not based off a platform like Neo or Ethereum, then it might be a little bit harder. They might have a proprietary wallet that you'll have to use. And honestly, if it's a small coin and you have a small position with it and you bought it off something like Binance, I would just recommend keeping it on Binance or something like that. They're going to have pretty good security, not the best. Obviously you're putting yourself at risk for someone, hacking Binance, but as long as you're only keeping small positions on there and you're backing it up, you're securing it with two-factor authentication and a password manager. Yeah, I would say that's better than trying to keep track of 20 different wallets and then taking the risk of losing your private key for one of them or having that hacked or something like that. So yeah, honestly, just keeping your crypto in a diverse selection of places is one of the best things you can do for yourself in terms of security, because you don't want a hacker to just completely wipe you clean. That's what we saw with Mt. Gox and Bitfinex and all those high-profile hacks. BitGrail earlier this year? Stuff like that, where people keep way too much on exchanges. I say it over and over again: get your crypto off exchanges. But what I really mean by that is get it off exchanges and put it in diverse, put it in different pots or buckets or whatever, and keep the small stuff that's not worth putting in, proprietary wallets or anything like that on an exchange. Or if it's a decentralized exchange, then that's good. Or if it's a MyEther wallet or something like that, that's also good. So yeah, just spread out your investments. Make sure that they're not all in one place. That's pretty much the best advice I can give you with regard to security.
Let's see, a couple of ones here. Let's see. First of all, Mr. Real Estate or Mrs. Real Estate, could be either way. Let's see, waiting for the waterfall capitulation though. One thing I want to warn you about there is that, look, I've seen the waterfalls occur. The waterfalls are wonderful. They're amazing to watch, but make sure you factor in what happens if we don't see something like that. What happens if we do not see a waterfall? What happens if the market starts to trend higher with mucho gusto? So make sure that you have that as a possibility, which would be great, right? You know, everything that I've been saying about capitulation and massive volume and disgust and everything like that, you know, that would be, what's that? What do we do?
It keeps auto focusing. I'm trying to fix it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Multitasking. Yeah. Millennial skills. It's awesome. So, but yeah, we may not get the waterfall. I think we will. I think it has to go through. Think of a market like this is, it's almost like the mirror opposite. As far up as it goes, it's almost got to go through the same opposite. You know, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So it's almost like that. But keep in mind, keep an open mind to what can happen in the market, because things can fundamentally change, which goes along with long-range crypto's point. What about the banks? Are banks actually acquiring just spot crypto right now? Or are they playing games through custody? Are they going through custody?
I would think that.
So they, you know, well, they could be. Well, they're not, you know.
You don't know.
Wow, we saw something amazing. Somebody posted this, a couple of days ago? Was it in Discord? Oh, by the way, if you guys aren't in Discord, join us over in Discord. We just opened that up a couple of days ago. So, yeah, so we're going to copy that into the page here. So join us over there. It's pretty wild. It's pretty unorganized, but that's the way we like it. So
yeah.
Let's see, where was I going with this? Oh, big banks and crypto. I really don't think we've seen the volume yet. You know, one of the things that happened with volume is like somebody just transferred a pant load of Bitcoin over to BitMEX, which is really, really interesting. So BitMEX, if you guys don't know what it is a leveraged exchange. So it's sort of like the pseudo leveraged exchange. It's almost like a casino that you go into, which is separated from the rest of the world. You go into there and you walk in with Bitcoin and you walk out with Bitcoin. You don't make any other trades outside of that, because the derivatives that they use inside of BitMEX are proprietary derivatives that are not traded anywhere else. So there's no arbitrage against that. So it's a really interesting concept, but man, somebody just walked out of, you know, just parked a whole ton of Bitcoin into there. So there's going to be some massive trading going on.
Yeah. You also see tons of BitMEX shorts getting blown up.
Any thoughts on crypto taxes? I did a podcast on that. Podcast number 1 is on crypto taxes.
Yeah, and don't avoid them. I don't think it's, I think it's kosher for me to say that, like, don't avoid paying your taxes, tax advice, because we're not CPAs or tax.
No, we're really awful. We're terrible at tax advice. So don't listen to anything that we say on that stuff. Move to Puerto Rico. I was on tech support last night talking with somebody in Nicaragua. That was cool. You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. It was great.
Apparently, the word on the street is if you move to Puerto Rico, that doesn't insulate you from paying those taxes. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to give advice. I'm just don't make that your life mission. Make sure you look into it.
So it's interesting. You know, We Buy Real Estate has got a question for me. How low could this go? All right. So first of all, the question presumes that there is an answer to that. Yeah. And I wish we lived in a world like that where, well, you know, actually what's funny is that the perception is that we live in a world like that somebody knows the answer to that question. And unfortunately, there is nobody out there. And if somebody tells you what the bottom is, then you run away from that person, because they don't know what they're talking about. We will not know. There is no way to look in a crystal ball Now, I can look at a chart and I can say, well, there's an awful lot of support at this level. Does that mean that it's going to stop there? No. All it means is that there's a higher probability that it will find some kind of, it will bang against that level and find some buying support, but it doesn't mean that it has to stop there. So the longer I do this, the less that I believe that I know about what's going to happen tomorrow. All I think is in terms of probability. So, could it go down to it could go down to zero again if there's no demand, but everything is based on supply and demand. Right now, the supply and the demand are adequately matched at around, what is this, 6,300. So right now, supply and demand it's just like those scales are balanced right now at 6,300. Could something come along to change that, to tip the balance in terms of supply? Lately, the balance has been more in terms of supply than demand, and that's why the price is going down. Where we find that perfect price is where the price will stop. And ultimately, what happens is when there's zero demand, this is where you see the waterfall, where people just back away and say, whoa. But right now, I mean, we don't know where the bottom is going to be, but there are signatures that show where a bottom has been made. So for those of you that have been into charting, you'll know what a hammer candlestick is. It's a very nice signal that typically will show, especially if it's really tall, that typically will show that something like that, something is afoot.
And it's kind of similar to that point. When we see a lot of sell pressure in the market, people will try to call the bottom. When we're seeing a lot of buy pressure, people will try to, say Bitcoin was going to 50,000 or something like that. So look at both of those sorts of predictions in the same sort of light. They're just trying to attract attention. There's no crystal ball that's going to tell you, oh, based on these lines and indicators, Bitcoin's going up to this or it's going down to this or whatever. Trying to catch the falling knife, trying to predict the top, it's all the same. It's nonsense because everything we care about is in between those anyways. So trying to guess, which is what we're doing, the tops or bottoms is meaningless. So it's an exercise in futility is how I look at it.
Oh, by the way, the podcast is available on iTunes. It's available on Stitcher. It's available on Buzzsprout. It's available on Spotify. If you go and search on Ready Set Crypto podcast, so it's Ready Set Crypto is all one word, concatenated podcast, you will find it on Spotify. You will find it there. Would the large hammer be green? The hammer does not necessarily have to have a green nor a red body. It could be either of the two. What defines it is the length of the tail. So whether you call it a tail, a lower wick, a lower shadow is also what you could call it. It's typically very long and it's got a very small real body. Could also be even a doji, a doji, just a really long doji, but you want the close to be up near the top of it, very close to the top of that.
Daryl's got his gut, his feels that the ETF delays and denials will help us, put us into real capitulation. I think that is going to be the case in the short term. I think the way that people are looking at the ETF is sort of the harbinger for institutional investment. And once we get that, everything will be great because here comes $1 billion or $1 trillion or whatever. And it's all going to be great. But what I've tried to say over and over again is there's so much more to that. There's so many other layers that we need to consider in terms of adoption, in terms of the actual technology and the scalability and the fungibility and all these things that are going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do hear you. I do hear that, the ETF does play a role. It's just not the end all be all that some people are going to make it out to be. But it is interesting to talk about. It is definitely what the market is focused on. Whether that's good or bad, I think it's sort of the latter right now because we've sort of poisoned ourselves into thinking that is what we need, and if we don't get that, we're a spoiled toddler. We got to have it, otherwise Christmas is ruined.
I'm taking my football and I'm going home.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so many other things going on right now. it's kind of interesting. I think what we're finding is that even during the trough periods like this, people are still working behind the scenes to make stuff happen. You know, Facebook was started in 2007, and now it's one of the biggest companies in the world, despite its recent sell-off. But like, these are the times that stuff is still happening. We're not just sitting around waiting for the SEC to approve of this space. We're not just sitting around waiting for big banks to come in and poison pill the whole thing. This is we're still moving forward, regardless of whether or not it happens. I think people are just kind of in pain right now, and they're looking for sort of absolution in a form of this capital injection that's apparently going to come in when the ETF is approved. But yeah, I want to give you a good answer on that, but yeah, I think it's going to be more complicated than just, hey, it's approved, or hey, it's denied, or hey, these things.
Looking at the ETF is so short-sighted. There's two things to that. First of all, revenue cures all ills, and we found this. I mean, this is the universal elixir for any market is revenue and profits. And I hate to be so bourgeois with that, but that's just the way it is. Revenue I mean, we saw this with a tech boom. I mean, not to equate the tech boom with what's happening with crypto, because everybody does that, but certainly the same thing happened, right? Is that we saw, hey, pets.com, hey, let's get a sock puppet and let's play around with that, and let's see if we can get an IPO and maybe be billionaires. Great. But Amazon, what Amazon did was they reinvested, and they said, to hell with it, we don't care about profits, we're going to reinvest, and now we own the world. Revenue does everything. So revenue, number one. Number two, I would say you guys haven't seen anything yet. When institutional money gets involved with this, my God, it's you just can't believe the amount of interconnections that are between there. I mean, for those of you that understand anything about insurance, you guys understand that you don't just have an insurance company out there taking risk off your hands. They're being insured on the back end. There's reinsurance companies that are reinsuring them, and so everything is all connected in this. And the same thing will happen in the crypto market, because once derivatives really start getting involved, then institutions will start putting money into this. They will start taking risk. They won't do it unless they can hedge their risk. Right now, you can't hedge your risk in Bitcoin. You can't do it. There's nothing else that you can pair it off against to hedge your risk in Bitcoin. So right now you have little, people sticking their toe into the water and start, it's very much still a retail market. Once institutions get involved with this, that's actually a really, really good thing.
Yeah. What I've heard is that once Backed enters the scene, that you'll be able to trade Bitcoin without actually owning it. And furthermore, they're going to limit, it's going to be closed during the weekends or, at certain points of the day, which will also be really interesting to see how that affects things. Because we're already seeing sort of that effect, with futures closing dates and stuff like that. But yeah, as Wall Street gets a little bit more involved in this space, it will definitely commoditize things. And I don't know, it's gonna definitely change the face of crypto, but it's gonna be for a greater purpose, I think. So yeah.
Let's take two more here. Matt's got a question about Ethereum. Ethereum has been taking a beating. Mav has been talking quite a bit about the Ethereum beating and the Vitalik beating. And
I mean, we're only back to where we were exactly 1 year ago in terms of Ethereum's price. So while it does seem like it's been brutal, for what it is, we're just going through another cyclical period where, unfortunately, Ethereum is a platform. It's a protocol. It's not a business. So people see these dives in price and they think, oh, Ethereum is terrible. ICOs are scams, blah, blah, blah. All these things that seem to detract from what it is as, a decentralized protocol. So it allows people to publish these ideas and put forth these new crypto products in ways that we didn't or weren't able to before. And so there's a lot of challenges with that. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of risk. And unfortunately, the market is just not not in a good place for accepting a lot of risk right now. So as these reports have come out that a certain amount of people have lost money due to scam ICOs, that paints the crosshair solely on Ethereum, and it gives people an opportunity to say, oh, well, Neo or EOS or Stellar, these are much more centralized, yes, but they're going to keep out all these scam ICOs. They're much more rigid about what gets put on their platform. They are not going to let this sort of riffraff come along and steal people's money. We should be supporting them instead. So it's a battle of ideological norms and how we push this forward. And it's really interesting to follow all of this. I think this is just the beginning. It's the same sort of stuff we saw with like Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin or all this sort of stuff. These are all sort of the same principles, but applied differently. And that's it's unfortunately sort of a division, but it's also just a reinterpretation of how you push forward an idea. So is Ethereum the best platform out there that deserves to be #1 crypto and forever and onward, the only place to publish your ICO? I don't know, maybe not. And that's kind of what we're going through right now. And unfortunately, it's sort of a bad time, being in the middle of a bear market. But that's what this bear market has shown us over and over again, is that we need to get rid of things like scam ICOs. We need to get rid of things like BitConnect. We need to look at things critically like Tether. We need to look at our infrastructure and how we deal with market manipulation and price washing and all this other stuff. There's a lot that we need to fix. But that's what I keep telling people is like, it's going to get fixed. We're just at the beginning of something very big. These things don't get fixed overnight, and not because a bunch of money enters the space, but wouldn't you rather be in before the problems are fixed or afterwards when they are and the price is way up there? No, I'd rather be in before and watch and help the space develop and mature, rather than just letting out everybody else get in before me. No, I'd rather take part and ownership of this new wave of decentralization and all this technological progress that's being put forth. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting time. I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds over the next couple months, but it's definitely fun to watch.
I just really want some cool T-shirts. That's what I want. Hey, Daryl asked a great question here. Do you see anything in the portfolio or anything out there that may create revenue at some point? You've gotten behind the scenes. I don't know how much you can talk about.
Yeah, so there's a lot of coins out there. I think that's sort of been the trend right now. And actually, we're going to see the U.S. Congress talk about blockchain and energy usage next week, and part of that is sort of the wastefulness of proof of work coins like Bitcoin and the consensus mechanisms behind that, and how proof of work is kind of energy inefficient at this point. I argue that that's going to change in the future, that as we sort of fix the scalability issues, proof of work will become a little bit more efficient, whatever. But the other reason or other way that we solve this is to move into other consensus mechanisms such as proof of stake and DPoS and all these other things that are really interesting because they provide alternative means of receiving that sort of passive income or passive revenue, rather. So coins like Neo will give you gas. That came out wrong. But, as a dividend share of holding onto the coin, you receive those dividends, which you can then sell or hold on to and watch them appreciate. So yeah, there's definitely coins out there that will give you revenue through multiple different ways, either securing the network or
I think what he meant was the company itself.
Ah, okay.
Is there a company that's a blockchain-based company or a crypto-based company that's actually, they've gone through the ICO to raise initial funding, but are they going to turn a profit anytime soon?
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's we are in that period right now. I think that's another thing that people have to realize about this bear market, is that what it's doing is helping us move from sort of that speculative value, the speculation on trying to determine what's going to be a legitimate company or protocol or whatever in the future, moving from that speculative value into utility value, finding ways to use that money, use the fundraising through the ICO to have a viable company, to have a viable protocol that's used in certain ways. And you being an investor, being a holder of the utility token, you receive those dividends or shares or revenues or whatever as a part of being participatory in the network. So I think that's sort of where we're moving right now. As far as having a profitable company, I don't know if anyone's truly there yet. I don't think I think that's still we're kind of years away from that, unfortunately. But that's kind of indicative of a new technological space, a new startup space. You know, we had that back in 2013 when there was a big push towards startups, and that's where Uber and Lyft and Snapchat and all these other big companies came out of it. And no, they're not exactly the most profitable things out there, but it's a volume business right now. It's trying to get people to adopt it. It's trying to get people to disrupt an established market, an established paradigm, and find new ways to go about that are going to attract users. It's a network effect. So yeah.
Okay.
You have anything to add to that?
No, I don't. I think you've wrapped it up nicely with that. So, hey guys, I wanted to thank everybody again for putting up with us playing the shell game once again with our YouTube. You know, it's like this is so frustrating that we're you know, we're both in technology. I mean, it's like we eat technology for lunch, and it's like we're just scrambling around at the last second trying to bring this up. So we do you want to talk about to give them a little tip about your class next week?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a webinar next week, about an hour or so. It's going to be focused on sort of that passive revenue, passive income aspect. So just going through sort of the different ways that you can utilize crypto to earn some passive income, so that even during a down market like this, you're still getting something in return other than just appreciation of your assets. So I found it to be one of the most interesting things or aspects of cryptocurrency, you know, be that staking or mining or, you know, many different other ways to receive passive income. So yeah, definitely check it out. We'll be sending out the link pretty soon here. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, you are going where tomorrow to speak?
Yeah.
At what?
So tomorrow morning, I'm getting on a plane and going to Philadelphia to attend the Crypto Coin Con. It's at the casino right outside of town, and I'm going to be
ironically,
I'm going to be giving the keynote address on just kind of the state of crypto and what's going on. So that should be really fun. It should be really interesting. I'm going to take some video of it, so even if you're not able to attend, we'll still have something to show for. But yeah, it'll be fun too, because there'll be a couple other influencers in attendance. Crypto Candor, the Crypto Street podcast. I forget who else was going to be there, but yeah, it's a pretty colorful cast of people.
If you go, look for the tall guy.
Yeah. So yeah, that should be fun.
Easy to spot.
In the meantime, definitely join us on the Discord. We'll try to be as active as we can be on that. I think it'll be kind of fun as we get more people on there. And yeah, I look forward to us doing these live streams as frequently as we can. Yeah, and swag.
Shirts are on the website. They're in the store. They're cheap.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They come fast too.
So, yeah, if you guys have any requests for designs or ideas,
yeah, keep it clean.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think we'll also be adding like merchandise and like stickers. Like if you have a certain coin you want me to make a sticker of, I'm more than happy to do so. So I'm a bit of a graphic designer on the side, so it should be fun. But yeah, just hit us up. We're more than happy to help you guys. So yeah.
All right, everybody.
All right.
You guys have a great night.
Take care, guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon.
All right, take care.